Welcome everybody. I figured tonight, last night I sanded that nose ring in, and it would kind of be repetitive to watch me sand on it some more. And anyway, what I figured I'd do tonight is we'd make a cowl. So that's basically just getting one more of the big pieces finished up. So let's get to it. I don't see that I'll wait for the people to come in here. There we go. We got one viewer. All right. So as I stated, that we're going to be building the cowl, and I'm going to do it. I do it the same way every time. It's really simple to do. And what I did was I went through my blocks that I have. Now, the old way in the 60s was to carve it out of a solid block. And you can do that, but it's a lot of work. I mean, and it's hard to make it look good out of one piece, but heck, if you got time and you want to do that, that's fine by me. I mean, there's all kind of ways to do it. You could mold it, you could fiberglass it, you could make it out of carbon, you could do anything you want, but the lightest, easiest way to do it is the way I'm going to show you. So I went through my blocks, and I had some cut-off pieces from making wing tips and things like that. And I went in and I calculated out the weights of these particular things. And I've thought about this several times. Do I want to use the little bit heavier piece, or do you want to use the lightest piece? And the difference between the two is one is a 4.5 pound block, and the other one is a 5.3 block. And all you have to do is use the balsa calculator and measure the width, measure the length, measure the thickness, weigh it, plug it in. It'll give you the weight of the wood per cubic foot. And so we have some good contest wood here, and that's what we're going to use. We're going to use the 4.5 pound wood. I probably have some lighter stuff, but I mean, this piece right here is probably lightest of all that I got. However, it's not quite big enough, and I mean, I probably could make it work, but it'd be tough. So, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to square up the end here of a 3/8 sheet. Now this 3/8 sheet, I'm not sure what weight it is. I think it's in the 5 pound range, but it's not the lightest piece of wood, 3/8 that I've ever seen. It's the only piece of 3/8 wood I have. So I know it's good because it feels light. This end feels heavier than this end. So we're going to use the light end. So the first thing you want to do is square up the end. So put the square on there, get my back saw, Zona saw. I'm not going to go into the shaping or anything tonight. I'll just go into the layout of how I, make them. And all this stuff is pretty repetitious. I've shown it on several other videos. But there's nothing, teaching is reminding and learning is remembering. So we're going to cut two lengths, the length that we need. I mean, you can build these so fast. If I wasn't working and I can build a real nice cowl, sand it out and everything in a couple of hours. You just hold it up there for length. It doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to be cutting it off anyway. So we'll get the length like this. Put it to the back of this nose ring. We're going to come all the way to the back of, where F2 is, because we know we're not going to come that far back. So I'm going to cut that off into a square piece, and then I'll double it. I'll make a second one the same length. And then, of course, the heavy end will get put back in the rack. So we got 3/8 and 3/8. We know that's 3/4. I got a new scale from Amazon. Got 2 of these today. I left one at work, and because I really like these machinist scale, these small rulers. Now whether I can hold on to it and find it. So what we have here is we have 2 3/4. It's a little bit more than 2 3/4. So we're going to make this this piece 2 3/4 minus 3/4 plus a 1/16, which is 13/16. Let's see. Yeah, we're going to make that piece there 2 1/16. It sounds complicated, but it's not. I'll show you. So we're going to go ahead and mark this off and get a second piece here. Basically, the way I make my cowls, you do all the layup work first and then glue it together and carve it out. It's real simple. We are going to line this cowl with 64th ply before I start sanding. Usually I do it the other way around. Okay, this piece goes back in the box. This is still a light piece, but I could tell it was a little heavier than this. So we have another piece. Now, we know that we're not going to need that center block as long as these blocks. It'd be just a waste of wood, so we're going to cut it short. We're going to figure that out now. Can you guys see okay what I'm doing, or is it okay, there we go. So this is our cowl. This is our length. The cowl line is going to come approximately to here, so we only need to make this block this long, so that's probably 2 inches. It's 1 15/16. You can make it 2 inches short. That'd be fine. So I had already sawn this. Probably, since I brought this from home, I probably sawed this on my bandsaw. But I want to square the end up with that first. Come on. And I know you guys have seen me do this a dozen times, where you just put the square up and sand down to it. Now normally if I was at home I just put it on the disc sander and this would be squared up already. But seeing that this is all done by hand, all my airplanes built here in Ohio are done by hand, I gotta do what I gotta do. So, as I stated, it's got to be 2 inches shorter. So we'll make it 1.75 inches shorter. And we'll have this piece left over. And I'll probably use that as the filler for the nose. I want to thank the members who have already joined. If you'd like to see more content for members only, there's a join button down by the subscribe button. There's 3 different options in there. And those members have some special perks. And I'll be adding some more of those. And I'm going to start adding videos for the members come Saturday. Those videos will only be seen by members. We're also going to have a live chat once a month. So you can ask me any building question you want. Okay. Now this I have cut at a slight angle, but it doesn't matter. We'll use this towards the nose. Now I said that I needed it 2 1/16. You can also do it like this in case you don't know how to read a ruler or whatever. You just double these up, hold it against the fuselage side, let it hang. Well, you could even do it like that. Put it down on the table. Put it up here like so. We're going to go like this. And mark it. Now I'm going to add a 1/16. This should be 2 inches from the edge. We'll see if I was right. 2 inches exactly. But we're going to make it 2 1/16. What that does, we'll make it 2 1/8. That way it leaves the side proud. It leaves it sticking over 1/16 of an inch, so that you sand this down from the outside instead of the inside. So let's make this 2 1/16. Now this old square that I have here that was my great grandfather's, we're going to make it 2 1/8. You can barely read the ruler on it, so that's one of the reasons I got the machinist scale. You know, if you wanted to be slick, you could make 2 cowls out of this and not worry about making an 1/8 of an inch wider. I wonder if I should do that. Yeah. Let me think about this. You know, if I cut it exactly in the center, I could make a second cowl later down the road. Yeah, I'm going to make it bigger. Don't be cheap. just do it. If I choose to use that down the road, I can always scab a piece on in the center. There's very few large components left to make for this airplane. Mold the bottom block, build this cowl. I mean, we're close. If I were to hump it, I probably could fly this at the Nats, but if there is a Nats. They sent me the survey. I hope you guys filled that out, asking me if I was worried about what's going on and am I going to attend the Nats. And the only thing that'll make me not attend the Nats is if they don't have one. Because we've already lost the Null and we already lost Brodak. 7 watchers, 2 likes. Thank you very much for the likes. Make sure to join. Hit that, not only subscribe, but hit the join button. That helps me bring you more content. This channel has over 1,000 videos in it. I don't know how many of them are the live chats on the weekends, but some people enjoy those. So you figure that most of the videos are anywhere between an hour and 3 hours long. That's 3,000 hours of video. And kids, if you're cutting this stuff, be careful. This stuff is really sharp. You could really screw yourself up. I don't know how many young people watch my channel, but be careful. Okay, here's our cowl. You see it? Okay, we have to lay the sides out now. The easiest way to do that so we know we're going to have the 1-inch mark here. And we'll draw a line. This is inside. We know that goes to the front right here, and then you line that up as close as possible. Put your pen line on the bottom of the fuselage, and then just there you go. Pretty simple. So now we have to extract that piece of wood out of there. I see so many guys. Almost got screwed up there, thinking I was cutting out the wrong piece, but I'm not. There's that cross grain wood, boy. It's time for a new blade. It is balsa wood is so tough on these surgical blades. It's just, a couple of swipes and things dull. That's why I always cross cut with a saw, or you can go with the grain and not dull them out too bad, but when you go against the grain or a cross grain, it really dulls the blades. Come on, get in there. Okay. So let's see how it fits. It obviously isn't going to fit perfect because the cuts aren't perfect, but after I sand it and the woods on it, the 64th ply, you have to adjust it. I'm going to try to get away without too much superfill. Okay, I've cut it too large, but that's good. That'd be good. You can always trim off, but it's hard to add. Okay, you gotta take about a 1/16. The angle's not quite right. A little bit more off the front. It doesn't take much, a couple of thousandths, and of course, like I said, we're going to put the 64th ply back on it, so that fits pretty darn good there. Okay, that's one. That's one of our pieces. And it gets cut off just behind the nose ring. Of course, we're going to add a 1/8" piece of plywood there. And the way that I mount my cowls is I drill a hole in the solid nose ring here, put an 1/8" dowel in it, and I have a second nose ring that goes in the cowl. That's a half a nose ring, and then one bolt goes right here. It's about the simplest, easiest way to do things, the lightest. I've been doing this about 20 years now. I make one exhaust hole, and I only have one brass tube for the tank outlet. I don't have two like most stun ships do, one for the inlet, one for the pressure. Some have three. Pressure, and then one for overfill. I just let the overfill hang out that hole in a tube, and I have an aluminum plug that goes on it. That's the lightest way that I've found to do it. Now, I have been using Bob Hunt's eyelet lead out guide method, but on this one here I have the the 1960s style, late 60s, early 70s style slider. So there's one side. Now let's make the other side. We'll glue the, oh, this is the fun part of cowl making. The actual shaping. What does it look like? What do you want to make it look like? So, when you envision what my tucker looks like, my original tucker, it basically looks like kind of all the rest of the cowls that I do, so it's a pretty simple layout. You hold this up here like so, and the bottom of the nose ring, we're going to make it big, of course, and you just and that's it. So basically what I do is I just decide I'm going to build a cowl, take a piece of wood and cut away anything that doesn't look like a cowl. Easy peasy. Of course I have a little experience at this, but nothing you can't do. I'm running a 3/4 extension, and you get that real nice shape in the nose that way, running the extension. I think I need to take a little bit off the back of that too. A few thousandths off the back of this. And we won't do that. I'll sand it out. So I need to make another cowl, or another piece of cowl that looks similar to this, which I started to kind of was going to give an idea how to do it. But I decided to do it live instead. So I'm going to transfer the outside shape of the cowl to this block. So we'll have two outside shapes that are basically the same. Now, the inside has changed because I squared that block off from when I first drew it out. So got to redraw the cowl lines. Another thing I want to tell you about is for you guys flying mufflered airplanes, make sure you leave this step in your cowl line. That way you won't have a huge hole in the fuselage side where the muffler comes out, because the muffler sticks out right here. So if I had it just come straight down, like most guys do, you got a big ugly hole there. So just leave a piece of wood on it, and then make your cowl line mate that, and then cut this away right here where the muffler goes, and that way it looks perfect. If that makes sense. If not, you can ask me and I'll explain it. So let's go ahead and cut this up here. This is really simple stuff. Oh, this knife is dull already. So we made it forward of that. Yep, I can feel it dragging. These number 11 knife blade scalpels that I'm using are so cheap. You don't be cheap either and keep using the same blade over and over again. When the blade starts to drag, change it. So we're going to change it now. I wonder if the surgeons, you got to be able to cut more than one cut with a blade on skin. And I need to make sure that I got the front one. I better make sure. Measure twice, cut once. Yep. To the forward one. I wish I wouldn't. See, I was gonna do this off camera, but decided some of you guys need to see how I do this, because it really is very easy. Let's go ahead and use the back saw on this. See if I can get through that. Forward. If you got a saw, it's jigsaw, bandsaw, whatever. It'd be better to use that than a knife for the cross grain cuts. But I don't have one here. Are you guys getting anything out of this series? If not, I can just go back to regular videos, do every once in a while. Okay. Okay, this is going to be cut away. That from right there to right there, depending, will be the hole where this muffler sticks out. Not up here. It'll be down here in this square right here. You have to cut this away. Become pretty evident here in a second. So I have that right there, that line. So we'll go ahead and cut that. Cowl's basically done here. As soon as I get these parts cut, I'll lay it up and glue it together. Okay, we got somebody said something over there. Oh, Minnesota Mike. Thank you, Mike. I don't know about turning out awesome yet. We ain't there yet. but it should suffice. Okay, let's see how it fits. Perfect. So this area here, from the bottom here, all the way over to here, gets cut out. So we'll go ahead and do that now so you can see what I'm talking about. I just had it in my hand. There it is. There it is. Yep. So I'm just going to eyeball it. You know, we're not building a watch. Your eyes are pretty close. You want this two lines parallel. You want this line here to be a continuation of that line. Make sure you can see what I'm doing here. So I cut a line parallel to the cowl line here. This is where the muffler is going to come out. There's that hard knife again. It's rough. If I could saw, I would, but you can't get in there with a back saw. Okay, so we've cut it like that, and you say, well, that looks like hell. Well, kinda. So when you put it up here, that's where the muffler sticks out. Now you can make nice round holes or whatever if you like, which I might. I'll glue some pieces back in. Maybe. This angle here looks like it needs to be a little different. Pretty simple. So now that we have this done, we have both pieces cut. We've already laid up this block here to the right width. We're going to lay this up here and let it dry overnight with white glue. That way this block here will become one complete block, and then I'll carve out what doesn't look like a cowl and then hollow it out. Yeah, I understand. So, I need to figure out what I'm going to do for a block up here. Looks like I should have cut this either longer or shorter, but it doesn't matter. Not quite there. I'll cut it shorter. Put another piece of wood in there. So basically, we're going to glue this together, and it'll fix onto that like so, and then I'll shape it. So a cowl is actually not including the 64th ply that it's lined with. A cowl is four major parts. You have the sides, the center, and then a front block here. And I'll have to I think I'll do the front block tomorrow because we're running up on an hour now, and I didn't want to run any longer than an hour. Like I say, these builds that I'm doing are an hour a day, so I don't want to run over except for on the weekends, you know. And I do a couple of videos, so I kind of make up for the time on the weekends. Let's see here. And you want to glue these together with white glue. You don't want to use CA. If you glue them together with white glue or alphatic resin, it becomes one piece. If you glue it together with CA, you can sand through the CA and then it'll fall apart. If that makes any sense. It's kind of like when I was in junior high school. We learned wood turning in junior high. And Mr. Franco, our shop teacher, would say, you got to glue the walnut and the cherry wood and stuff together with white glue. Otherwise, turning those bowls, them things that come apart and fly off the lathe. We had a few of them. So, that's the first lesson in cowl making. And when I'm done, it will fit absolutely perfect. Oh, let's get a context on how much. Can you see how much wood's hanging out here? There's about about 330 seconds hanging out over the edge on each side. And that way I can come down the side of the fuselage in shape, and this will blend in perfectly. If you cut it short and leave it sucked too far in, you have to sand too much into the fuselage. This way you can come down and get a real nice shape. And you really can't shape the bottom of that until the mold is done. So I'll probably, maybe tomorrow night, I'll have this put aside. It'll be glued up and we'll do the skin for the mold. Because the skin is about 3/4 of an inch instead of an inch at the cowl break line. So we're going to have to sand the crap out of that. You'll notice that when I made the mold, that the mold is narrower than the fuselage. That way when it molds down, it fits perfectly on the side, if that makes sense. It will when I lay it out and show you how I cut it. Anyway, make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Join the channel for exclusive footage. That'll be once a week you get a special video, and once a month you get a live chat for members only. I'll also have other member perks I just have. For the people who don't know where this channel came from, it's Stunhanger, www.stunhanger.com. That's with an E. You can get there with an A, but with an E and /SMF. And if you're going to join, you must use your real first and last name, or I will not approve you, period. Real name with a space and your last name. Some of you guys are watching this have been, kind of grandfathered in. Maybe you don't have it that way. I wish you would, because that way when either when you win a prize like one of the kit giveaways that I do, or you happen to be a supporter of the channel, I can just go in and type your name and boom, I find you. Otherwise, it takes me a half an hour to figure out, well, let's see, this PayPal came from so and so's email address, and now I got to search by email. Make it easy on me. I'm getting old, man. Don't make it any harder than I have to, than it has to be. So I'm just babbling now, killing the. We've been on 48 minutes. Heck, I guess we'll call it a night. We'll just run a little short. Thanks for watching. Till I see you again. Fair winds, tight lines. Oh man, getting old.